In this chapter, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at what it takes to create a realistic, lifelike material in 3ds Max. You know, it's the materials part of a project, where you, as an animator, finally get a chance to start adding in all the little surface details and characteristics to your models, in the hopes of convincing your audience to believe what they're seeing. And it's not easy, as people are very quick to notice and point out things that aren't done right. The skins you create will be judged no different. Photorealism is what you should always strive for in your 3D scenes, and that in large part starts with your materials. The truth is, even with a great-looking, well-lit model, an object without the right skin just won't ever look as good as it could. If you're truly serious about the field of computer animation, especially if you're wanting to make a career as a 3D animator, your scenes are going to have to turn heads. Creating eye-popping, realistic skins will take you one step closer to making that happen. And if you want to be honest about it, those great-looking skins aren't always the easiest thing to make. No, if you're going to do it right, if you're planning on making something that your audience will buy into, that your audience will believe, there's more to building a quality skin than you might think. Lots of little things that you'll need to do well. Stuff that we'll be specifically looking into how to do over the course of this chapter on textures and materials. Now, some surfaces are fairly easy to create. You take something like a green rubber ball. It's got a little color, a little shine, but that's about it. There's really not all that much to building a skin like that. Compare that, though, to something like this tree trunk. It's got color, in fact several colors. Also has a few isolated areas of shine where the sap is collected. But its most notable characteristic is definitely its texture. Imagine closing your eyes and rubbing your fingers over the surface. There's a certain feel, a certain roughness to the object. Even the bumpiness is different on different areas. Going around the perimeter of the tree trunk, without a doubt, feels a whole heck of a lot different, a lot rougher than how the tree looks and feels on the two cut ends. Those things have to be crafted into the way you build its skin. So no question about it, the wood would definitely take a great deal more effort and attention to recreating its details than would the green ball. Some things are easy, some things aren't. If you really want to do your skins right, you know what I'd suggest? Create yourself a list of questions about the skins that you want to build. And don't get on the computer until you have the answers that you need in order to correctly build those materials. Yeah, questions that look closer for all the surface characteristics that make up the skins you're needing to build for your scenes. Also, try to get your hands on something of reference, something that looks like what you're trying to make. Get it and study it closely. Check out the body color. Is what you're going to make solid in color, like this green fabric? Or does it have some kind of pattern or design, like this collection of textiles? And the colors that do make it look the way it does. Are they intense and full of color, like the side of this school bus? Or are they muted and pastel, having a lower saturation of color, in other words, like this rose? And if it's a pattern you're creating, is the pattern large or small? Is it distinct and easy to describe, like this rock wall? Or is it more nondescript, having either a smaller or more of an undefined pattern or design like you see here? And take a look at the way light affects the surface. Is the skin shiny or dull, and how shiny? Is it intense, or is the shine barely noticeable? Compare, for an example, the shine on this pepper or crystal ball versus the shine on this old metal teapot. And if the surface you're recreating is shiny, can you see a reflection? And with that reflection, is it razor sharp like you'd see in a mirror? Or is it more faint and blurred out, like you see here with the skyline of the city, casting a reflection down in the water? And when you rub your fingers across the surface, how textured or bumpy is it? Is it deeply grooved like the tread on this boot? Or is the texture more subtle like we see on this leather strap? They both certainly have bump, but to varying degrees. You're honestly not going to find many things in the real world that are perfectly smooth. Most things have at least light scratches on their surface. Even a car windshield, for an example, picks up a few dings with debris from the road the first couple of times it hits the street. And with that skin you're creating, what about its level of transparency? Can you see through the object, and to what extent? Is it transparent like these glass bottles? Or is it transparent like the mound of ice below the bottles? And with some objects, their level of transparency will even vary over their surface. This wine glass, for an example, is more transparent toward its inside than it is toward its out. So be on the lookout for degrees of transparency when looking at something see-through. So you got all that? When you look a little closer, there really is a great deal to consider in making a believable material. And it's all those surface qualities that then combine together to give an object the look that it takes on. And you know what ends up happening, what kind of stinks about the whole thing? All you gotta do is forget just one or two of those little surface attributes, and the whole darn thing, the entire skin, turns out looking wrong. Many times, you're not even sure why things look off. You just know that they do. So open your eyes and look for the smallest of details. It's typically the little things that make the surface look either unbelievably real or just another something created on the computer. Always remember that.